Hi, I'm Harvey Wong. This program is part of a series presented in cooperation with the Chinese Historical Society of America, and my guest for today is Mr. H.K. Wong, a native San Franciscan who has devoted a lifetime to community service. And we'll be talking a little bit about the annual Chinese New Year celebration and some other events that HK has been involved with. HK, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, so why don't we talk a little bit about the New Year celebration? Now, I know you were one of the original founders of it. And how did this all get started?
Well, that's a subject that's very dear to my heart. As you know, I'm born and raised here in San Francisco, and there's a very wonderful area to be in. And I do notice that during the Chinese New Year period, previous to our public affair, that all the family from everywhere comes to San Francisco Chinatown to celebrate the New Year's together. So, because I have been a child like all of us, we learned that it is indeed the happiest period of our life, of our family life. I do, even in the old days, I know people from other part of the country, from Northern California, from the little small town, they would come to San Francisco to see the relatives, to see how they are, and always to gather together at the family table and at the family association for the Chinese New Year banquet. That is, they also show the best feature, whatever attraction that they, achievement they have done during the year, they will report to the family. So with that in mind, back in 1953, up to 1953, it always has been celebrated privately. You know, we know that, you know that, and it has been strictly a private observance. So that year, I just happened to be elected as a director of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce in San Francisco, Chinatown. And we start talking. I said, gosh, this is such a happy event, such a marvelous occasion. Why don't we invite our friends to join us in our happy celebration? And that is one of the big reasons why we have this public celebration. Although the first few days we all always celebrate privately, as of the old days. Then after that, it is a great big public celebration. Now, I like to tell you what makes me think that way. We have very good, wonderful music. We have Chinese exercise that is now known as Tai Chi and Kung Fu. And these are exhibitions that people are fascinated by, both the young and the old. For the more musical mind, we have Chinese musical, we have Chinese dance, we have native dances from Tibet, from Mongolia, from all over China. And it has retained its hold here in San Francisco, Chinatown, among a small circle. So we thought that it would be a fine showcase of the Chinese heritage and culture by having the community, the young people, the older people, come out and give us a demonstration of what truly Chinese heritage and culture is. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, you always have to have a starting point. So I was very fortunate that I was able to originate the idea with the Chinese Chamber of Commerce. And they say, gee, go ahead and let us have a small affair first. We have a limited amount of time to start out with. Now, I think I would like to tell you about the very, very first one, because that is where we caught on to the spirit of the community.
Let me ask you something first. Mm-hmm. Now, I understand that some people were kind of reluctant to put this celebration in the public. Why was that?
Good. Well, there's various reasons, of course. We were at that particular time of the period, we were comparatively young. And the older one thinks, gee, why don't we put on our private observance for the public? And then there's always a feeling that it is strictly a private affair. Mm. But we were able to convince them and say, let us do it. Let us show you what could be done by the youth and the citizens of this community. And well, as long as they don't give you any obstacle, you can go right ahead. So we took it as a sort of a signal to go. But the Chinese Chamber was very much behind us. Actually, I have another young friend at that time, a young friend. He's now an older man. He's Mr. Louis, Paul Louis. So the two of us were given the job of sort of introducing and getting together and organizing this first affair. So why I say it's a total community project is this. We would walk down the street. We would talk to some man on the corner who owns a lot. Say, can you lend this to the Chinese community? So we put on the show? Yes. We walked and talked to the electrician. Hey, how about hooking up some light for us so that the people can see what we're doing? Yes. Talk to some carpenter. How about tell your men to come down after they get to work and nail up a platform for us? At that time, I didn't know the city has platform for nothing, free. So he said, yes. So at that time, also, I was in the hardware business. So I said, I'll donate all the nails so that you don't have to return the nail, but you take back the lumber. So then we talked to a man, a radio man, who has a very wonderful PA system. He said, can you put up a PA system for the public so they know what we're talking about? Yes. So all in all, we have what I consider total 100% community effort. All this done for us, for nothing, for the city of San Francisco and for Chinatown. And I think the very first parade is something is very good. We had a young girl, her name is Miss Pat Can. She's John Can's daughter, by the way. And we named her Miss Firecracker, and for the very, very first parade. And we asked our various young salesman friend, how about lending us some convertible for a parade? Yes, we will. So we had about 15 convertible. We had the schools, we had the band. We have this lovely girl in the convertible, Miss Firecracker of 1953. I mean, all this is an effort that is all put in so that the not only our own Chinese community, but the American community would understand. So after we got to the parade, which was actually only half an hour, and it was on through Chinatown, from Stockton Street, we went through Chinatown. We end up with this stand that we have erected on the corner of Pacific and Grant. And then we all got off, and then we have a very short program. We said tonight we will have a very a more elaborate show for all of you to enjoy. And when Mr. Louis and I looked up Grand Avenue, saw every block was completely filled with humanity. I said, I think this is a good start. All right. Then that evening, we tried to demonstrate what we meant by having all these wonderful girls and costumes and music. So we put on a 2-hour show. Now, this is, again, we asked the city of Shanghai, Mrs. Wong, can you lend us some costume? Yes, we will. And the next thing you know, we have emperor robes and empress robe to loan to us. We asked one of our young friends who marshaled 17, 18 different girls from our community and some from out of town to be the fashion in this. This is at a total cost of zero. It costs absolutely nothing. And they put on a marvelous show. All right. Then we asked the Chinese Musical Society, can you finish the background music and play for us afterward? Yes, we will. And they play the background music. And later they have Chinese opera star come out. They have Canton Opera. They have Peking Opera. And then the boys from the Kung Fu group, they said, now what could we do? I said, well, you go on and put on the show just as if you were doing before your own club. Fine. And they gave us a wonderful half-hour show. This probably is the first time publicly that we have seen such a martial art. And it was done in good taste and very fast-paced. And after, of course, we always have to have a little speech. So the speech, Mr. Louis said, well, we hope that this is a very modest start of a Chinese New Year, and I hope that someday it will become a national fame. Well, that is indeed the start of it, because it totally costs us. We walk down the street, we got $5 from this and $5 from that, and that has to pay for some gasoline, or maybe we might get some a small meal for the people. But all in all, it was totally a community project by the people of the community. Mm-hmm. And I'm very grateful that they feel that way, because I noticed today it has now become international fame, and all the people in this community has participated in that.
So the first time that you made this celebration public, I'm kind of wondering how the outside public reacted to the whole thing.
Well, that is a very good question.
Thank you.
Well, it just happened that, Harvey, besides doing all these other things, I sort of had to handle the publicity and the public relation part. Because at that time, we have no public relation department in Chinatown. So I became a sort of a one-man deal there. And I talked to all the media. We made the contact for them. I learned what they wanted to know, and I started writing stories. I had to research, of course. I learned about New Year, and it's the flavor of the New Year from my mother, actually, because like I said, why are you doing this at night, on midnight? So she tells me, she says, well, because I feel that this is the night I should meditate. I wish all good wishes to my family, my people, and also to my friends. So I catch on a little bit. Then from that point, I start making this various research. And then I sent out releases from the chamber. And I noticed that all the media uses it. So I figured, gee, they like to have this news. It is something different for them. And this way, they would know more about our people and our custom from this public affair. And I would say that it became actually, when I subscribed to clipping service, so I was able to get several thousand clipping per season. So I feel that it is well accepted, and I'm very happy to say that.
Okay, now this first celebration that you had, I'm sure it couldn't have been perfect. You must have run into some problems or difficulties in planning it the first time.
Oh, of course. Ran out of nail the first time. I delivered the wrong kind of nail. They want 4-inch nail spike, and I gave him 2-inch. Oh, I said, stupid Wong, what's the matter with me? Hurry up and got him 10 more pounds. And one of the interesting part of this program is I was given the job of tying a string of firecracker around Miss Can, who is known as Miss Firecracker. And I didn't know how to do it because, I said, gee, how am I going to do it? So I said, why don't you close your iPad and let me try it? And the photographer was laughing. Everybody was laughing except me. I was kind of blushing. But I finally got it. And she wore this string of firecrackers in the parade. And it was... Well, nobody lighted it. We diffused it first because I sure don't want the firecracker to burn off right on her. But it was very pretty sight. And she had this whole string of firecrackers.
Wait a minute. Was there a dress underneath the firecrackers? Or what?
No. That is why I was having a little difficulty.
Oh, I see.
So actually, she was sort of the top part is bare, I guess is the only way I could say it. But we had to wrap with firecracker. But anyway, I saved the situation. She was untouched, and she was fine.
Someone should have lit the firecrackers. Okay, now the Miss Chinatown pageant, that didn't start the same time as the celebration started, right? This was later on?
No, it did not. I tell you, one of the reasons why we have that Miss Chinatown USA. All the time, I'm looking for how always to introduce this to the public. And since it has been properly introduced, I feel that, any PR people would feel the same way, that in all public events, you must have girls to help you publicize it. Is that right? So, and then up to that time, we will always have select a queen for the Chinese New Year Festival. But I thought we should be on a larger scope because San Francisco Chinatown is the largest Chinese city outside the Orient. And because of that, I say, let us find a girl to reign over the Chinese New Year Festival or the celebration. And let us call her Miss Chinatown USA. With that in mind, and because I also wanted to interest the family, the parents of all these girls, to participate in this public event. That year, another friend of mine, Mr. L. Lim, he went one way, and I and my wife went the other way. We pay our own expense. We toured the United States to talk to the parents, to say, please send your fair daughter to our pageant because we want them to be a showcase of the Chinese heritage and beauty. So it really worked out fine because there's a pride of community, other community in this Miss Chinatown USA pageant. There are much pride in the parents. So that is the main thing. But one of the things that caused me to research a little bit, the what do we call a concept, a Chinese concept of beauty. I found out that a scholar said that she must have a melon face, a very fair complexion, a willow eyebrow. All this is fascinating. So I sent out a press release saying that the Chinese community is searching for a beauty to best represent the Chinese concept of beauty, and to represent not only San Francisco Chinatown, but upon a selection to represent all the Chinatown in America. And when it came about, we have 17 girls from all over the United States who came, including Hawaii, who came to the United States, and I said, oh, we have it. And incidentally, if I may tell you, that the girl that won the first Miss Chinatown USA contest is a girl from Miami, representing New York City at that time. She is now a woman who lives in San Francisco, and a parent mother of two nice young girls. I'm very lucky, and I would like to believe that I am the reason for that, because I happen to be the matchmaker for her.
I thought you were going to say you were the father.
No, the father is a very nice structural engineer in the city.
I see. I'd like to know if the original concept for Miss Chinatown is still maintained today in terms of the concept of beauty and attractiveness.
Well, as time goes on, I think it changes a little bit. I left doing all these Miss Chinatown USA item back in '61. But one of our first concept is because I know the Chinese girls are very modest, and I personally didn't feel that they would feel right in bathing suit, or the short, brief bathing suit. So we had the committee design play suit for them, which was very good, which was used actually for several years. But of course, after I left, I know that they have changed it to the westernized style of bathing suit. I do not condemn that. I do not have anything against it. Because I feel that the future committee and the new committee should operate the way they think best, and we should go with the changing time. So I really am very happy that both the celebration and the Miss Chinatown USA has continued to this day, and it does a lot for the girls. They enjoy it, they love it. This their opportunity to see for themselves what Chinese people, how they operate.
Okay, now another thing that you helped originate was a Chinese tennis team, right? Now, how did this all come about?
Oh, well, back in 1935, I started playing tennis even before that. So I'm not what you would call a top caliber player, but I learned how to organize activities among the youth. So I just happened to be one of the charter members of the San Francisco Chinese Tennis Club. And I served for 25 years in various capacities there. Our group originally wanted to become a member club of the Northern California Tennis Association, which is affiliated with the U.S. Lawn Tennis Association. But we were turned down in the early days because they don't feel that we are up to that standard, or perhaps there's some other reason. But our group say this: well, if they do not accept it, that's okay. Let us do it ourselves, among our people. So I have many people who think the same way. Hain Hall, Hattie Hall, Tom Chin, Tom Kim. So they all pitch in, and next thing you know, we conduct and we annually we have our own tennis clinic for the youth from 12 up. During the summer we have a sort of 90-day. It goes on for 3 months during the vacation, in which we have our better tennis player would instruct and introduce the game to the youngster. Many of them who come up through and now have gone and forgotten, but among them we have a school teacher now. Her name is Helen Wong. She was very good in her age, during the time of the 46, 47. Previous to that, we have a girl who in the 1936 and 37 became a ranking Northern California tennis player, Henrietta Chung, a left-hander. See, but time marches on, and a new crop always come in 2, 3, 4 years. And but the story I'd like to tell you is, after 10, 12 years of this work, the Northern California Tennis Association recognized the work of our group. They invited us to join the Tennis Association, and of course we do wanted to join and become part of the association. And one of the other things that came out of this whole thing is I became the first Chinese to be a member of the board of directors for 2 terms on the Northern California Tennis Association. And as a matter of fact, at one time I ran the Northern California in the club competition, which involved 132 clubs. But mainly, all in all, the part that I want to tell you about is I encounter in the 35s a lot of, should I say, mistaken discrimination against the Chinese boys. They always think that we are still laundrymen, that we cannot speak English. So I said, how do we do this? Let us go out in the field. Let us play them. Let us learn the good player. Let us get together and join and be one team. So as a team, I sort of organized all the best players in the Bay Area. And they are accountants, they could be doctors, they are teachers, whatever they are, it doesn't really matter. But they play under the name of San Francisco Chinese Tennis Club. So we start out playing other Chinese group, and then we play Oriental group, and then next thing you know, we gradually we compete against the other regular tennis team. But I do notice on the sideline that what they say, they whisper to them, say, gee, he's Mr. York Chu, he's very good. Gee, he speaks English too, and he played beautiful. And then he talked about, we have a fellow named Ben Chu. He said, my gosh, what a backhand. Gee. And he's so young. He's only 17 at that time. So all in all, this is sort of what I call root, to show them how the boys behave. But one thing for sure, our team is very good sports. We do not call any shots as out, in, or in, out. We just try. We be very fair about it. We were very sport-minded about it. And we were accepted. As a matter of fact, in 48 and 49, the group became the Northern California C champions, which means that among in Northern California, they are the C team. When you win, you graduate to the B team. We became the Northern California B team. And we actually went up to A, in which we became runner-ups. But I want you to understand that my work there is organizing it. Yeah. I'm what I call a non-playing captain. The boys do the playing, and I try to set up the plan to travel with them and so on.
Well, when you first tried to get into other tennis teams, wasn't it kind of hard for you to break into non-Chinese teams?
Well, we never really, I see the handwriting on the wall, and I can confine myself to getting the Chinese in the competition against other Chinese. We used to have an intercity competition between L.A. and San Francisco. That went on for 25 years. We used to have an inter-competition for people, Chinese from Seattle, from Portland, from Victoria. In fact, our group won the Chinese Pacific Coast Club Championship. And if I may tell an interesting story about the first time we tried.
You've got a couple of minutes.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you. The very first time I heard about this Chinese Club Championship was in Vancouver. So it happened that I have a man who just got married, a newlywed, on the honeymoon. a man who returned from the war, a man who was a scout for MacArthur, and another one who is a younger player, a major in the Army. So we went up to Vancouver. We played, we lost. So I said, then I realized how important it is. I said, next year we come back. Are we invited? Yes. So we invited the team back, and we won it ever since. So I thought that was, that means you have to get your best together to play.
Okay, we've got a couple minutes left. I'd like to ask you what you're doing nowadays. Now, I understand one of the things you're working on is this Marco Polo celebration.
Yes, I'm working with Mr. Alessandro Baccari, who's a very dear friend of ours, and we are now putting together a joint committee of his people from North Beach and people from San Francisco Chinatown. We are working towards getting this project we call Marco Polo Festival. It will be, for the first time, held in San Francisco or anywhere, and it will be sometime in September. The locale would be Washington Square. The committee is hard at work lining things up, and I'm sure when we get through with it, it would be another great attraction to the city of San Francisco. At presently, we are working on a joint museum, what they call a North Beach Museum. 1 month, they will have the artifacts from the North Beach area, the Italian people. And another month, we have a rotating exhibit of the Chinese in this area. So Mr. Baccari, as a matter of fact, I just left him ago. We'll help him gather the artifacts in it. And that is just a start of our small project, which eventually will be very, very important to the city.
I see. Okay, one last thing now. You were working on Flower Drum Song, I understand. How did you get picked for that?
Well, Harvey, one of these days I'm going to give you some time and I'll tell you all about Flower Drum Song, because there's so many fascinating and interesting tales about it. But here I will only tell you that because of my interest and love for San Francisco Chinatown, they came and looked for this guy, H.K. Wong. They found me in a coffee shop because they recognized that my tie tag, it says H.K. He said, "You H.K. Wong?" I said, "Yes." And the man who came happened to be Ross Hunter. And he interested me about doing the Flower Drum Song. So next thing you know, I got them to come to San Francisco Chinatown to shoot the first part, and after that, it's done in studio. That's another story, and I'll tell it on some other day.
Okay. Thanks a lot for sharing your experiences with us, and I hope you can join us again sometime. Would you like to come again?
Oh, of course. It's fun to tell, this audience just like my people, and it's wonderful fun. Thank you again.
Thanks.